Okay, hello. Hey, how's it going, everyone? How are you all doing? Chat, I want to know, how are you feeling? We've had P2. P2 is kind of in the rear view mirror. You did the postmortem, um, and we've had about 5 days since then to kind of hopefully relax a little bit. Mandelbrot's doing pretty good. Um, you got a chance to relax? Did you get a chance to catch up on your sleep a little bit, hopefully? Your other courses a little bit, maybe? Did anyone have any exams that they've gotten out of the way now? Evan Air says two exams. Two exams. I hope those were of the easier variety. Although knowing our department, I'm not sure. I don't know. Okay, is there a course in our department that gives easier exams? Because I don't think so. I remember the 280 exams being pretty easy, but after that it was nothing but pain. I hope they were easy too. Yeah, you'll have to wait for the results, it sounds like. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and get started. Congrats on finishing up your P2. It's now kind of firmly behind you, and we'll hopefully get those grades to you sooner rather than later. You are on to the big project of this course. You're on to Project 3, our big showcase project. And that is what we're going to end up doing today. Our big objective today is to introduce Project 3, make sure you kind of understand what it's doing and what its structure is. And then we are going to get back into our discussion of efficient teams. So as you move into P3, which is one of the most important projects in the entire course, and one that students tend to like most, what kind of techniques can you use as a team to make sure that you're going to be efficient, that you're going to be effective, and so that you really put your best foot forward? So before we get to that, though, I have some neat things to show you in our little announcements section. I know I talk about parallax all the time, but this is kind of a cool look at how it works behind the scenes. So if you look closely at this white box as it moves, this is what the camera can see. And if you look only within this box, you'll see a pretty convincing parallax scene. You've got this foreground that when the camera moves, it leaves, right? But you've also got these parallax layers consisting of a layer of trees, a layer of nearby buildings, and you've got distant buildings and mountains and sky. And what you notice is that all of these layers move at a different speed when your camera moves. It's almost like the layers are following your camera as it moves right. And as a result, it creates this depth that's just magnificent. One also cool thing about this particular example is that you'll notice this infinite scrolling world that we have here. It doesn't use infinite resources because we actually have two backgrounds here. Two backgrounds, and when the player camera gets too close to escaping one of them, it takes the one that it's left and it moves it over to the front, right? Kind of like boop, boop, boop. I forget what that's called. Like, is that like the ladder step? What is that called again? But anyway, this was important for us to do because this game was coming out on mobile, and we knew that mobile devices did not like to deal with a ton of objects. You can imagine, we eventually add so many levels that this road is so long that players start to get laggy on their stage select screen. And that wouldn't be good. We want people with lower end devices to be able to play the game. So we created this system that would reuse one object and fake an infinite world by only using two pieces of it. Anyway, it was very fun to create, and it looks really cool behind the scenes when you look at it. Okay, the parallax is formed of 3 layers: middle, mountains, and clouds in the background. Each layer is a game object with a parallax component that has a different depth factor property on it. A higher number means further away from the camera. You can get this code if you want to. If you haven't done any parallax yet and you're thinking about making a 2D game and using it, then you can get the code from us right here, actually. You can come to this agenda, which I'm going to post right here. No, I'm not going to post right there. I'm going to post here. So you can grab it now if you want to. Anyway, all right, parallax. I talk about that way too much. It's awesome. It's just too cool, though. Okay. I want to talk about some fun, common early P3 issues. So Project 3 is starting today, and we'll talk a little bit more about it in just a sec. But one thing that is going to be of some importance to you, and it's also kind of funny to think about, is the topic of art styles. So art styles, Undertale, right? You've all seen Undertale. We've talked about it in this course. While I think few people would call this a kind of visually striking game, an absolutely gorgeous game, I don't think many people would say that, but I also think very few people would call this a poor-looking game or an incohesive game. This is an 8-bit game. It lacks detail, but it is very, very expressive, and it is very consistent, okay? While there might not be a ton of detail on anything you see in this particular image, there is a consistency to it all, right? It is all using 8-bit text. Even the font is using kind of an 8-bit styled font. And so I want you to compare how this screenshot looks right now to, and I actually have to Google this because the image we were using broke, a game called Sexy Hiking. Now, that might be a spicy name. It's not quite as interesting as the name would suggest. But let's go ahead and look at Sexy Hiking. Sexy Hiking is a game that looks like this right here. This is a game called Sexy Hiking. And if you look at this screenshot right here, this is essentially a game that is the precursor to Getting Over It. You are a person, but with a pickaxe, and you have to use the pickaxe to climb your way past obstacles. This is the title screen for the game. And if you look at this, you might notice a few things. One, it immediately hits you and looks really, really sloppy. This image is using several different fonts and several different art styles. If you look at this middle of the screen, we see this kind of purple and black icon that looks like a kind of a Roman numeral 2. And it's using a different art style. It's using straight edges and the rectangle tool from Microsoft Paint. If you look at everything else in this background, like the clouds are using like a hand-drawn like paintbrush.